Sweet, mate. Yeah.
Sweet. Welcome, punters, for this week's edition of Melbourne Punting Melbourne style.
So my first appearance on the...
I think it is, mate, without that jumpy. So welcome to the Punters Punter, Dan Kelly.
Yes, that was a nice proud day. I didn't wake up in the morning, someone tweeted something out, and I hadn't heard of that way, so I think Punting Stars it was.
You tell me.
I
saw it was there.
Did you? Yeah, well, it's Punting Stars, new website. I don't know, I hadn't heard of them, but seems like they're putting out a bit of stuff, and they trying to get some clicks and things, and set out the top 5 Twitter racing guys to follow. And it was Dan O'Sullivan, yes, and Adam Blenko, and John McLeod, all these and Matty Welsh, the model punter, and then all of a sudden DK made an appearance and I nearly fell off my chair. Said hello. So yeah, and then they very nicely called me the Punters Punter. So I said, man of the people, mate.
Well, I think whoever's behind that, well done. That's an apt description. That's the perfect description for DK. So, and can I just say, while we're talking about that group, so hopefully over the spring we'll get Dan O'Sullivan on the show when he's next in Melbourne.
I'd say come down for something for the spring, yeah, for sure.
Him and I sort of touched on that anyway, so we'll see how that goes.
He's fantastic. I've been to one of the Betfair nights with him speaking. I think he's terrific, and then just any time you get Dan's fantastic.
Absolutely. And just a word out to Adam Blenkow. Adam used to make regular appearances on RSM with Nadia.
That's right.
And he was, very much just playing a nice straight bat there, Adam. Now I've done a little bit of looking at his Twitter. There's a lot more colour to Adam than he ever showed on the radio. So
he's a very funny man.
I think
he
so.
can put some get that wide and just one appears, and I just pissed myself laughing. Like, I remember one day when one of the tracks was a skating rink or something, and he put up a really funny cartoon. He's quite an entertaining man.
So I think we need to get next time Adam's anywhere near Melbourne. Hit us up, Adam, and we'll get you on the show.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll introduce...
The people need to see more of Adam Blenko.
Yeah, the full colour version, not the sanitised...
Racing's always had characters, hasn't it? And like I said, they were confined to the racetrack, and one of the things we grew up, we loved being at the races and all the characters, and that's knackers and that's crackers and watching what they do and everything. And I suppose now that part's died, but Twitter and social media has been able to bring them up, and hopefully we can, with more of this show, we can do it.
Well, the characters are still all there, DK. They just don't get an audience very often in the mainstream, and for what little part we've got to play with the handful of people we got there watch what we do. We need as many of these characters shown as they are, because they've got so much to offer. Yeah,
and Twitter covers all, well, I'm a Twitter man, but Twitter covers all spectrums. I mean, it can be a complete punish at times, and but there's some very clever blokes there, and then some very funny stuff can be thrown out there where you just laugh and laugh and laugh. So it's it'd be good to get more of it out there.
Good stuff. So we're in July, DK. We're nearly halfway through July, and I remember when we first started talking. Seriously, this was the time of year where you'd prefer to go away for a period of time, and we had and I said I used to be like that, and I'd sort of worked out a way to get myself through winter.
Yep.
And when we had a bit of discussion about that, so now like a bit of time's gone on. How are you finding it now?
Yeah, well, better. Yeah, I mean, you were kind enough to say, DK, these are probably the things you should be looking for a bit more, or what I look for this time of year to help myself, and that's getting through with the wet tracks and the fitness aspects and things like that. But also, I mean, Geelong Synthetic has been great. I think they're starting this week. They're going to race every Tuesday. It was just like a little circuit. That's what punters love, the same pool of horses racing against each other every week or two just makes it a lot easier to line them up. So that having that up and going and regulars helped.
They get really good deep fields too, don't they?
They do.
A lot of the time,
They do, because the trainers do like going there.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, David Hayes, well, there's another bane here, the private jump outs, but I had a horse trained down there, and you pop down there on a Wednesday morning, you watch a horse jump out, and there's 2 big Lindsay Park trucks there with 40 horses having bloody jump outs there, and then that replicates some race day, because Hayes dominates races down there when he puts his horses in there, because they're used to the surface, they're trained down there, and just another thing in the arsenal they've got. And some things they haven't popped up at Flemington jump outs, but I bet you I know where they've jumped out down there,
Yeah.
So so look, Potts, we turned out the grubby runs. I think it was the same as you last year, and I was a bit quieter this year as well. Through for some reason through late March into sort of May, or sort of that April. I don't know. The crossover there gets a bit quiet, gets being tough for me in the last 2 years. Whereas and then from now it sort of picked up. I looked at my figures last year, and it was a bit quiet into June, but it sort of picked up into. And now the good horses are coming back to me.
Yeah, they
which is
start
another
to appear,
thing.
don't they?
You can, yeah. So the nice horses. I mean, Royal Sydney's probably up and going a bit early, but all the good stables will start letting. Well, I mean, young horses, so the young horses to see if they're can get up and going and into the guineas and things like this. So that's good for me that they've got an edge on their opposition, which is what I'm looking for. And yeah, so just reassessed when I was after having a talk to you last year, and seemed to have taken a new back to it. So I'm not scared of winter anymore.
Yep.
Sort of trying to go with it.
That's a takeout for the punters. Like if I've particularly found in the last, well, it's been quite a few years now, that the difficult patch to work through is that crossover time. So it can really depend where Easter falls, exactly where it is. But say the latter part of April and May, when you're having a lot of crossover, the form can get really quite fragile. And so I come up with some new strategies to get myself through that period without damaging myself.
Yep.
But I think if you do, you set yourself up really well for the June, July and August. And July and August have been some of my better times over the last several years. And again, if you get through July, August on the front foot, then you're really in good shape for spring.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. Yeah, and that's what you want to be.
Whereas if you go and take a break and you come back in August, you've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, that's right. At least you're in the zone sort of thing, ready to go. Because especially with the time when you're going, and my figures, just having looked back at them when I finished my year off a month or so back, is that time is always quite strong for some reason. So the quality of animals, the drier tracks, you know, you've got through winter, you're up and going. So.
Well, I got through that crossover period April, May this year with a profit, which was great compared to previous years, and I've had a really good June. So July started off okay. So
sets you up. Get into it, mate.
That's it.
Yeah. And how'd you see him on the weekend?
Well, it was one of those frustrating days, DK, where I was in every race. If the results had fallen a little bit slightly different, it could have been a really good day, but we didn't damage ourselves. I think if you just followed the betting plan, it was -11 at Flemington on Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is a bit disappointing. Urban Ruler would have been.
I saw some conjecture about the ride. Do you have any opinion on it?
No.
I didn't see the race, but
I wished you had ridden it like that at the previous run.
Yeah,
would have won the other race as well.
Yeah.
So, and I doubt very much whether it was Tommy Sadler's fault, the previous ride. I'm sure he was riding to instructions.
Yeah.
And he's ridden it perfectly there on Saturday.
He's in a bit of trouble actually, isn't he? Didn't he knock someone over trying to get in?
Yeah, just on the circle there.
Proper riding?
So that seems harsh to me.
Does it?
Jeez, it seems harsh. Like they're just, a little bit of movement.
They don't like that. They don't like that trying to force someone down. They hate it, the stewards. I think it's quite dangerous, but anyway, we're going to see what comes out in the wash.
So it's one of the more interesting things about the race cut on Saturday, okay, we had the 4 1600 metre races. So there's the 2-year-old Royal Symphony, that last race that Willy won to 3-year-olds. The winner championship final with Sahutsi, who's a good, strong, brave horse.
Is he what?
And then our girl Spanish Reef in the first.
God bless her, Spanish Reef. Kenny Keys, isn't Kenny? I think Kenny went away. Then the horses started winning. Anyway, no conjecture. But I remember it won at Sandown. They said, "Where's Kenny?" And they said, "Kenny's over in Europe on holidays or something." I said, but gee, for a little small team, his horses are going good. He's got winner and he's had some other things going really well. Up and going, Kenny. But God bless Spanish Reef. It's a good little story. But I only sort of bet in the country races, and some horses I black booked appear in the metros. I sort of over Peruse, and I had black booked Spanish Reef from her first up run, and then she appeared in a 3-year-old in town, and I don't really handle them that well and don't want to do the form, so I just let it go. And first set of prices.
Not just a 3-year-old. It was a 64, wasn't it?
It was 64. Yeah, it was a 64. Yeah. So and then they put her up 50 to 1, so I obviously got none. First set of prices from someone came through. He marked at 70s, as I've got none. Forget about it. Went back to work doing the form for Thursday, and then Potts' set come through. Potts said, "Oh yeah, this is in the numbers, and I'm having something on it." So I said, "Oh," and sent a bet, pushed it back out in the market, and so I was, "Oh, I'll just have something on this." And God bless her, she got there, mate. She got there.
It was a delightful result. I had a very small bet on them, but
I didn't have mine.
It's one of those situations.
You don't have to have much on them at those odds.
No. When I did the form for the race, I kept having trouble because I'm comparing. I do all my numbers, and she was going to get a reasonable run in the race.
A perfect run in the end.
My initial price was $16. I go and compare it to the market, it's 50. I think, if I made a mistake, so I'll go and do it again. And I kept doing it and thinking, well, I shouldn't be throwing this horse out. I should just be including it and having something on it, even though it's a maiden in a 64.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's sometimes punters, if you've got a process and it is drawing the horse out and the market's throwing it out, just don't succumb to the market.
No,
particularly when in that situation where the price assessors, it's a big field, they'll get the one at the bottom, it's a maiden, and they won't even have much of a look at it. They'll just go, this is no good.
Yeah, and they're basically a class. It's a 64, but it's a class 1.
Yeah.
And the up in this time of year and going forward the next few months, the ones that are on the upward spiral, they can take that. Well, she's probably improved again, I assume, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, she had some improvement there. It was second up when she won at Sandown. She's gone third up into Saturday, so she's obviously found another length or something.
Well, how many times do we see, DK, and we've discussed it privately over the years, once they get that win, the fillies, they nearly always improve the next run.
I've forgotten about that, but
so Ruby C was off the maiden at Sandown when she improved.
That's right.
Then on Saturday, she didn't have that momentum anymore. Spanish Reef had the momentum. She'd got a win.
Yeah. That should have been better off the Spanish Reef having the win.
So Spanish Reef had the improvement there, and so I'm a little bit kicking myself because when I first did that race, I actually had them a lot closer together, and then I sort of slowly took myself into Ruby C a bit stronger and ended up with them at $3 and $6, I think, when my initial price was more like $3.80 and $4.50 sort of thing, And anyway, I mean, still back there. It was another nice result, but I just say to the punters, the amount of times that fillies get that win and then improve at their next run is staggering. It just means so much, and wins, even for mares at different stages of their career, it just carries more currency than it does in other races. So we saw that again with Schism. Now all the other mares, they all take turns, they're all behind her, just fluffing around, they swap their finishing positions on Saturday, but the big teams just piled into her again, and she got the job done again because she had the win. Finally got the win under her belt.
Yep, I love that.
Here I go. So anyway, going back to those 1600 metre races, it's really interesting because there's very little difference at first look, so I need to get right into the sectionals of that race and really have a close look at it. Between the overall times and the sectionals, Shahitsi, Willy Willy and Royal Symphony. I think that's really interesting that they've run almost identical time those 3 races.
You just break down the sections, but that's still, for a 2-year-old to do that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm not quite sure Willy Willy's gone way better than he had. Like if you take that on face value, he's gone way better than he has at Bendigo.
Sure, there was a bunch finish at Bendigo, wasn't there? Mate? But that's in the right, because first approach ran with him the other day. He's gone well again. So, but wasn't I haven't delved in. Was the 2-year-old fast run?
They've run very similar tempos. Okay. I haven't broken it all down as much as I will, but just looking at first glance, the first 1,000 metres of those 3 races are similar, and the last 600 are similar, and the overall's similar, obviously.
Everyone's going to have a big horn for Royal Symphony then, aren't they? Yeah. It's just the first thing you see. It's a 2-year-old with the older horses doing that.
So I think that's right, but
just might not be all what it seems. You're saying.
Well, I think there's
the old Jalco. Is it real? Is it real? And it might. Sometimes they're not, mate. It might be first use. Was it first use? It might be late. The track, might have been conditions.
No, I think the track.
I think margins are a thing to reflect on there. If is it a real thing? So.
But I think there will be other horses out of this current group of 2-year-olds that will emerge to challenge him in the Caulfield Guineas, and it's a job for Tony McAvoy to put him out now and try and get him back. So I think anyone thinking about the Caulfield Guineas, I wouldn't be assuming that race is over.
Look at the day. P. Snowden will have something there that's just got the best grand final prep of all time, and he's got to get up again twice, this horse, and compete with him on the day if he gets there. It's a big task,
So my current feeling is Shahitsi's just come back a bit off his peak at Flemington 2 runs ago.
Yeah.
But he's run typically and he's been sort of through wide the trip, working hard and everything else. So
that wasn't
his performance is better than Royal Symphony's on the day.
Yeah.
But one's an old, fit, tough, brave horse, and the other one's an
he's a listed to Group 3 level horse, sort of really, isn't he? I don't know if he ran that number on the weekend, but that's his level in life.
Well, I think he certainly ran that level 2 starts ago. He's probably back to a typical. He's better at 1400 than he is at 1600. I would say.
Yeah.
And he's got Amavarcio and Sovereign Nation chasing him. So
yeah.
Willy Willy and Urban River have both gone good. That's the one little bit of a drag on those 1600 metre races for me. And Spanish Reef runs slower time, but she's run much faster late sectional. So
She's got more to give then.
She's got more to offer.
Yeah.
So she's interesting.
Yeah.
The 2000 motor race on Saturday was very, it was extraordinary having both two equal 9-4 favourites scratched within 20 minutes at the start. Just
complete mess.
Extraordinary sense. I'd love to know what all the details behind it.
I'd love to know all that too. I'd love to have someone, there's always going to be the rumour mill going around. But
so that race has become a barrier trial, so it's meaningless. That race just means that Packardali's
they didn't know.
well set up now. So
Shower Star got stretched for haematoma on the neck. Those people didn't know, so there's an inquiry into that. So
and Kalani Kid, bit lame prior to the race or something.
That's right.
Something like that.
Yeah. And it wasn't one where the trainers blown up and said, no, it wasn't lame. The stewards had been, but then Weary said, okay, he's a bit it's okay to scratch him. He wasn't blown about it.
And sprint races, abilities, a new horse is a gelding. He travelled sweetly through as soon as the gap came. He just put, he had that sectional in him to put that race away, and the rest of them are just honest off-season sprinters. So the race has gone all right, but it's not outstanding. And 3-year-olds again showed they're a very even bunch with there not being more than a length between them.
Yeah, there was a blanket finish, wasn't it?
Same again. So that's pretty much the card at Flemington on Saturday. Super Hayes did a good job on the backup from.
And his horses again. The camp's going. I know it's not your favourite camp, not mine either. But just looking at his young horses, he's producing in the bush. And Nistan ran well behind Lone Eagle. He had a first. This is Tony McAvoy. Had a first start to go to Cranbourne and win. First, which he said was a really nice horse. Super Hayes, he's a good horse. It seems like an up and going camp at the moment.
So I want to just tell the punters what my opinion with Tony McAvoy is. I think he's a tremendous trainer, and he does a lot of his training of his horses in the stable, whereas a lot of the other bigger stables get their horses fit with races, and build them up, and we're looking for platforms and stuff like that. So I find Tony often a hard trainer to get a handle on, and his horses can produce really good figures off a substandard platform. The way I do things.
So you got to.
Sometimes I expect these horses to go really well, and they don't. Other times I don't, and they do. And if there's any trainer out there I'm going to have dinner with, it'd be Tony. He's a tremendous bloke. I've met him a few times.
Yeah, I've met him as well. Yeah, lovely fella.
He's a great fella, and but he can tie me in knots with some of his you have to call it outstanding training. And he seems to have a great handle on his horses. So if anyone can do the job with Royal Symphony, it's Tony.
Yeah, true. That's it.
Anyway, that'll do us for part 1, punters. We'll be back shortly with another game.